All right, so in this video, I want to see if we can get some hands-on experience with BERT. So BERT is the bidirectional encoder representation from transformers by the researchers at Google. And so I think that we can use this to create embeddings, and that is one use case for it. I don't know if BERT actually has anything to do with it, but it's kind of fun seeing BERT there. Since this is a Google researcher thing, I think that maybe we might want to try to utilize either Google Colab. I wouldn't mind also popping into Vertex AI and seeing where we could run it there. But let's go ahead and try it with Google Colab first. I am not experienced with BERT at all, but I'm sure we can stumble through it together and see if we can figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new notebook. And this will be called, I'll just call this BERT embeddings. Simple. And so all I want to do is figure out a simple way to do that. Now, there is an option here to start generating code with Gemini. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that and say, I want to implement a simple embeddings example using BERT. Okay, let's see if it can do that for us. I've never used the Gemini feature in here, but that was really fast. And so looking through this, I've seen code around on the internet, and this looks pretty much exactly like other tutorials. So like, even off screen here, I have one from like Chris McCormick, and I think if I go down here, you'll notice like you load it, you're loading it from Hugging Face, that's where it's coming from, okay? And so similar things here. So yeah, this looks okay. If you're wondering where this is coming from, I'm gonna go. This is Hugging Face, right? So you're gonna see it a ton of times, but I'll just show it again. So I'm gonna type in this Transformers Hugging Face, and so this is pretty much what we're looking at right here when we're utilizing it. So I think this is built into. These are models that are easily accessible within Hugging Face that are so commonly used that they're just kind of plugged into here. Sorry, I just was trying to grab the link and put it in the slides for folks later here. I think what's interesting is they have a BERT Japanese. So since I'm learning Japanese language learning, I'm kind of interested in this one. And so this looks similar. It might be a variant of it for embeddings. We might try it for fun. Not that there's anything super exciting about it, but let's go open this one and see if this is actually the example that we have here. Because they might have a simple example here of utilizing it. So here's BERT based on case, which is probably the most basic one that we can utilize. No direct example. Oh, down here we have one kind of, but I think this might be fine. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So we have BERT tokenizer BERT model from Hugging Face. We're loading the pre-trained model called BERT based uncased. And I keep saying that anytime there's models on Hugging Face, you can look them up, right? Put them in here. And we can find them, right? So if we wanted to learn a bit more about this one, we can read about it. Pre-trained model on the English language using a mass language modeling, MLM objective. So here we can read about it, and it looks like there are some variants of models that we could swap in here, and then we have some code here as well. Okay, so nothing crazy. I'm also just kind of curious for deployment. I was just trying to see if there was like a one-click to Google Colab, but there's not. That's totally fine. Let's go back over to here. And so here we have tokenizer, okay, and then we're loading the models of the weight. So loading pre-trained model tokenizer, so the vocabulary, then loading the weights, okay. Then we have our text that we want to tokenize, which we're basically, we're going to tokenize. So we're using our tokenizer. And then here... compute token embeddings. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure exactly what it is, but I'd say this is fine, so we'll accept this. I just want to go ahead and I want to see if this continues. So how can I print out? Well, it has the sentence embeddings down here, so it actually does it down below here, so that's totally fine. Okay, so I wasn't 100% certain, but let's go ahead and see if we can run this. Okay, so we'll just give that a moment. And does it work? Well, it's going. Normally I'd break this up into separate lines, but since we have this big blob here, I just wanted to see what results we would get. So I'll just wait for it to finish. All right, so it has completed, and so we're getting back all the embeddings. You can see there is a lot of stuff in here. So I would just be curious to see how we would run this on Google Cloud, specifically in Vertex AI if they have a similar environment. I mean, fine, obviously Google Colab is fine, but I'm just trying to get us exposure to more toolings as much as we can. So I'm going to go back over to here. Actually, maybe to the BERT Japanese to me is kind of interesting. So I might try to run this separately as well. So let's see if we can run that. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this code here. And by the way, I'm just going to grab the link here and put in the notes so later on we can reference them. But yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can utilize this one. So this one has auto model, auto tokenizer. So we go back over here, and it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. I'm not sure why it is, but maybe because it's a more generic model, it doesn't use BERT and uses the auto model. I couldn't say for certain, but I'm gonna go ahead and add a new block here. And we already have torch should already be included above. I think it is, right? If we go back to the top here. I want to clear out this this box. This one's annoying. There we go. Yeah, we already have that imported. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this one in. And then we'll grab these ones. Okay, we'll bring them down. And then we will bring in our Japanese line here. What does it say? Let me see here. That looks like Neko des Arumas. That looks like a Neko. That looks like a cat to me. I'm not sure about the rest. Let's go find out. That's the only symbol I recognize. I am a cat. Okay. Waga haihan neko dararu. That's a fancy way of saying it.
我が輩は猫である。
Okay, I would say it a much simpler way, but my Japanese isn't that advanced. We'll go ahead and grab the next line here. And we'll go to our next line here. And then we will grab its outputs. Examples of using the model character tokenization. Well, hold on. So this is an example of using a model with Mebcat and WordPiece tokenization. Okay, so up to this point, that's fine. I don't think I care about the rest here. Let's go ahead and see if we can run this. Again, I'm not saying I understand all this stuff. I'm just saying, like, you can see how easy it is to grab the code and get out values. But again, we need to really consult an expert, and so I might pull in an expert here to have better context other than just starting to work with these things. Okay, so we have a model error. So did you install Fugashi to use that? Okay. So we'll open this up in a new tab here. And yeah, we'll go ahead and just install this. So I'll just bring this down a line here. We'll just say percentage pip install Fugashi. And I'm trying to remember, like, Macabre is, I think it's like a dictionary. I used it before in preparing for the free GenAI bootcamp, but there were these things that if you gave them Japanese text, it could break down its form based on a dictionary. So I believe that this is a basis for that Macabre dictionary that it wants. We don't see Macabre here. It's somewhere underneath as a library. And saying this isn't installed either. Okay, so we'll get that as well. So I'll just dump it here in the end. And eventually we'll get everything installed. Now we might have to restart the runtime. Sometimes you have to do that, but we'll go ahead and try this. Okay, but working with anything with LLMs, you're constantly having to fiddle with libraries, so it's totally not unusual for this to happen. You could be running this later on, and you could be getting total errors, and everything is... they're like, Andrew, why doesn't your code just work? It's just, the space is very, it's just how it is, right? So that library looks like it is now installed. Let's run the next one. And there we go. So we got some output here. And so it looks like we have some special things. We're saying this is the start. This is our separator. So these are specific indicators. And then maybe, I guess it's identifying this as the section of the sentence. So again, don't fully understand it. But the point is we were able to get a run. I'd just like to do one more thing here is if we can try to go do this on Google Cloud. So here in Hugging Face, they'll have options like deploy. And I rarely ever touch this, so I'm just kind of curious what would happen if we do deploy with Google Cloud Codespaces. Now, I have a Google Cloud account, so you'd obviously have to make one. And we're in Vertex AI, and it's opening up Model Garden, which I'm actually surprised that it's in here. So it says open models on Hugging Face. Now, if you do not have any room for spend, do not do this. I'm just doing this to kind of explore it together so we can just together see what we can get as a result if you've never pressed that button. So please don't do this because this might cost something, and I want to have you to stay in the free tier. So here it wants to deploy it to Vertex AI, which is the fully managed AI platform. If you've never heard of Vertex AI, you can think of it similar to SageMaker Studio Labs or Azure ML Studio. And then down below, we're bringing the model. We have our endpoint. We have a place we want to deploy it. There are the machine specs, which there is nothing displayed here. Your endpoint will be deployed with the following settings. So it doesn't look like we get to choose, but it's going to use a C3 high CPU for accelerate type unspecified. And then we get an endpoint that we would hit, but I'm not exactly sure how I would end up utilizing this. So I may have to select something, but I have no options here. And maybe the reason I have no options is because I don't have access to this this item here. So I'm going to go ahead and just search for what this is in Google. Like I want to know its cost, right? So this one here is a C3 series. So Xeon scalable processors, 4th generation, okay. Titanium. This doesn't seem like something that I would not have access to. Custom built security microcontrollers. Okay, that's not GPUs, but it seems like maybe this is reliant on CPUs and not GPUs. That's what we're always looking for. Like, what are we running this on? And so I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is running on CPUs. But the question is like, why don't I have access to launch one? So maybe if I go back over to, let's go ask Google Gemini. Google Gemini. I think they have a free tier still. And so let's go ahead and find out why I can't launch this. So I'm looking for here into here. And I can't seem to launch how do I get quota within Google Cloud? Because maybe I have to put in a service limiter request. Yeah, quota limits. And so it says navigate to the quota page. Oh, it's just quotas. You'd think I know, but honestly, I don't change quotas very often. Right. Oh, by the way, this launched me into an existing project. You may have to create a project before even doing any of this, but I'm going to go here first. And let's see if we can find quotas. You got to spell it right if you want it to show up. So go over to here. Okay. And we might not be able to run this today because if I don't have access to it and it takes too long, then I might not be able to complete this, but that's totally fine. And so in here, they're saying go to the quotas page. Identify the limiting quota. Look for the quota that's preventing you from launching an instance. So here we go. Now we have some things here. And this is within, where are we? We are in Vertex AI. So I'm not sure if this would be under Vertex AI or just general compute engine API because that's what it might be utilizing underneath here. So that is what we need to find here. I wish they had like a simple search. Oh, they do maybe. Okay, so let's say Vertex AI. Okay. And we do have some options. So what I'm looking for is the region we're in. Right now we're in Iowa, I believe. Yeah, Iowa. And so somewhere here, we're going to have Iowa. Actually, what region is Iowa? US Central 1. Okay, so we're looking for US Central 1. US Central 1, so that would be this one here. But it says 5. Okay, let's click into this one here. To use this API, you may need credentials. Okay. I mean, I don't want credentials per se. I just want to be able to launch this here. So I feel that if I was to create credentials, that wouldn't necessarily make it work. But let's go ahead and press it anyway. It says the API is enabled. So yeah, that's not my problem. Data belonging to Google user. So yeah, I'm not... Okay, let's go take a look here. So look for quota that's preventing you from launching instances such as vCPUs. Compare the current usage. Use the request quota increase button on the quota page. Provide details for information. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's go back over to here. To here, and let's just back out for a second. And back one more time, back one more time, back one more time. Another thing I might want to try is just typing in C3. Because that's the type of compute we're looking for, right? C3 CPUs. And it says unlimited and value 8. So we definitely have access to these. Why there's 2, I don't know. But let's just open this one here and then open that one here. I just want to see if something's not enabled. No, this is enabled as well. This is enabled as well. Oh my goodness. Let's go back over to here. And I'm just going to figure it out. I'll be back in just a moment, okay? You know, another thought I have is like, do I have to create a machine spec before this? And maybe it's because there's no item because I didn't create one. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking now. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up a new tab. Because I don't think we have a service limit issue here. Maybe we just have to create a machine spec. I'm not exactly sure where we would create that. But let's go over and... Oh, I don't want to launch Flux. Let's go into like Llama 3.12. But these are ones that we can easily deploy. Yeah, now see that we're seeing machine specs, right? And we didn't specify machine specs. I'm not sure why your quota limit for the NVIDIA 4 C Central 2 is 0 usage. So it could be... maybe it's just where we're launching it. Let's go see if we switch to another region, like Montreal. Nothing. Toronto. Nothing. This is really odd. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ignore this for a second. And I'm just going to go back to the model garden here. And let's see if we can find BERT this way. So I can just type in BERT. Okay, because we're just looking for generic BERT. Fine-tune, deploy, BERT. I don't want to fine-tune it. I just want to use it. Neural network-based technique for natural language processing. Again, I don't want to train it per se. But we will click into this one. And again, that's trying to fine-tune it. But maybe that's what it wants to do when it launches it. What if we click fine-tune? What do we get? I just want to see if we get that window that we have. No, this is not what we want at all. Because we just want to launch it. We just want to launch a pre-made model. That's all we want to do. We don't want to create a pipeline here today. So that's not exactly what I was hoping for. But clearly, there is some way to deploy it, but it's not showing up here today. Let me just try this one more time. Worst case, we could just go somewhere else, like Amazon SageMaker. I just really wanted to do it here. But yeah, we just don't have any machine specs. Odd. So let's go back over. Anyway, I'm going to try to check service quotas one more time, but if I can't figure it out, we'll just roll back on this, okay? So one thing I just wanted to do was a sanity check, and I made my way over to Google Compute Engine, and I can see C3 right here, and I can select it, and there doesn't seem to be any restrictions for me launching it. Remember I said earlier it can get expensive? Well, 20 cents for me is not that bad, but I just don't understand why I can't select it, but that's totally fine. So I don't think we're going to be able to launch it there with Google Gemini here today. So that one is a bust. That doesn't mean we won't use Vertex later on, but maybe we could deploy this over to SageMaker. Now I know SageMaker really, really well. Azure ML, I'm all right with it. And so here's another example. And so SageMaker sometimes has jump starts, like what they're already pre-made, but it doesn't look like it has much here. It just looks like it has some code. So here it kind of looks similar, but notice that it's bringing in Boto 3 and SageMaker. So it has a SageMaker variant of the Hugging Face model that we can utilize. Okay. So I mean, this is fine. but this is not doing embeddings per se. So I don't know. I was kind of curious what happens if I click this. Oh, so this is the AWS Infer. Okay, so it's just slightly different code. So this is just if you wanted to run it on AWS's AI accelerators or trainers, the code would be a little bit different. But yeah, there's no jumpstart. I'm not sure why they mean CloudFormation. I guess they just mean that they'll have a CloudFormation example. So that's kind of a bust. Let's go take a look at Azure ML. And here they say create a workspace, discover and deploy models via there. And yeah, their examples aren't any better. So sometimes this stuff is good, sometimes it's not. And, that's just what it is. Now, we could still run this on any of those platforms, but I just wanted a one-click solution. So, I think we're done here for BERT, but this exploration is fine. You can just see how sometimes these conveniences look like conveniences, but they're not, okay? Anyway, I will see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.